goes by, only fools rushing. But speaking of Russian, they're gonna invade 'cause America's full of dumb people. Does something quick for you on a Monday morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Did I plan that? No. Did I? Maybe. Welcome to Monday morning. We are coming at you live from the studio. Going through some changes, ladies and gentlemen. Trying to get some new things in here to spruce it up a bit. Okay? Got a lot of things in the works. I do feel like America's fine, though. Okay? We're going to survive. Just like fucking, was it Aretha Franklin? I will survive. Hey, hey. You know what random thought I used to think is, when she said, I don't even know if that's Aretha Franklin, the I will survive lady. She says, I'm saving all my love for someone who's loving me. I thought she said growing up, as a little kid, I thought she said, I'm saving all my love for some Warner Bros loving me. I thought two things. Okay, she's hooking up with these two brothers. Like, that's weird. Threesome. I'm like, that's odd. And then I thought Warner Brothers. I was like, oh, she must have some kind of deal with Warner Brothers, and that's why she's saving all her love for them. Like, it's just a business move, Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're off to a stellar start. The feeling in America right now, and I don't want to get too political. Of course we're going to get political. We have been the last couple of them, but let's not do it. Let's not go too far down that rabbit hole. It's a weird feeling, right? The only thing that stands out to me is, and listen, I don't care who you voted for. I don't give two shits, honestly. Because the outcome of it as it stands, it doesn't make any sense. And this is why it's a good thing. Because I was getting into it with a friend. Getting into the shit, into the weeds, the tough discussions that need to happen. You start talking about policy, and you start talking about all these things that every 4 years, politics is just like the fucking Olympics. All of a sudden, everybody cares about the luge, All of a sudden, everybody cares about fucking gymnastics. You ever have a friend who's just like, oh, did you watch the gymnastics last night? Like when the Olympics, and then they start throwing out names, and you're just like, where the fuck were you 2 years ago? I've never even seen you do a somersault. I don't even know if you do a handstand. Cartwheel? Maybe. But all of a sudden, every 4 years, everybody cares about the Olympics and all these sports that just no one gives two shits about, I stay true to my sports. Boxing, MMA. That's pretty much it, okay? Maybe I'm forgetting about one in there. I'll watch swimming because I grew up swimming in the Olympics. But other than that, I'm not turning on NCAA to watch swimming. I know what they're going to do. They're not going to surprise me. Oh, is one guy going to do the same exact thing as the other guy, slightly faster? You got some cool goggles. That's what I always look for now in the Olympics. I'm like, that shit's tight. What does that cap say? Tight. Love watching Michael Phelps. We're getting off topic. But every 4 years, just like the Olympics, everybody is a politician. And this is something that I think is important. And it could be that your boy's getting into his 30s, okay? This is like the prime years that you start getting into this shit. Because you're not in college anymore. You're not thinking about just crushing puss and taking D. That's what guys and girls in college. Look how I'm being inclusive, bringing the girls into my metaphor. I care about y'all, okay? I got some girl listeners. I see the demographics. I'm pretty balanced. Hashtag equality for Evan. All right? But every 4 years, everybody turns into a goddamn politician. And I think there's some good things that need to come from this election. I really do think that. It sounds virtue signaling for me to say this. And it sucks that being woke and virtue signaling have become such a ruined thing by piece of shit, celebrities and just people on the internet. It's a cop-out. It's lazy. It's easy just to post a story about being an awareness and drink fucking oat milk so we don't suck on the teat of a goat. I don't know where I was going with that. Listen, to be like, it's important for people to be educated in politics, I think, when it comes to certain things. Like, this is the original point I was making. I don't care who you voted for. I don't care who you wanted to win, if your guy won, if your guy lost. You should be worried that our way of voting is fucking archaic. Like 2024, are we going to send out ravens? Maybe a messenger pigeon? Maybe an owl to those colder places? Like the fact that we're still having people, we have all this technology. Listen, I could have someone here with Chipotle in 30 fucking minutes, right to the goddamn door. Okay? I could write my pen pal on Instagram in the UK. Shout out to Sam Holland. In 10 seconds, I could have a message to him across the pond. Okay? Listen, why the fuck are we still having volunteers? One of the most important races in mankind, the leader of the free world, the most powerful nation on the goddamn planet, okay? We have the most nuclear weapons, okay? We're the most powerful. We are the bullies of the world. People in other countries, haha, the rest of the world is laughing at you. Go fuck yourself. What are you up in Canada with your moose and shit? Eating beef jerky made from beavers and shit? I actually think that's really cool. But don't act like you got our problems, that if we were in that situation, we'd be different. Your leader did blackface. So get the fuck out of here. Got pedophile rings. Y'all got racial problems there too. I got Google. I know what's up when y'all start spouting. Anyway, back to the point. Why are we still having volunteers? I saw someone with blue hair as a volunteer doing the counts. Listen, I don't want to discriminate and to stereotype, but most of the people with blue hair that I've come into contact with, they might not be the best sound mind people. You got blue hair. You're going through it, and that's okay. Everybody goes through it. Everybody goes through their blue hair phase in their life of something that makes them just a little, they're just going through it. You grow from it, all right? You're in that cocoon, a blue hair cocoon. But we have all these volunteers. We have volunteers to help with the polling. We have volunteers that help open up envelopes, look at it, and then go, okay, they won, and enter it in a computer. Hey, have we ever thought about eliminating that human bias in between that step? Y'all can have this. Whoever's watching this, George W., I know you're a fan. Listen, whoever's watching this, like, why isn't this the new thing? And this is something that I think we really should try to push for in the next 4 years or by the next election. Take all this bias out of it. Take all this weird shit out of it where you have dead people voting. You have people out of state voting. All these mail-in ballots that people are like, I never received it. I was living in that state. There's a tons of things in Nevada with gig workers and everything. You start going down the rabbit hole. And listen, I don't fancy myself a conspiracy theorist, okay? You talked to me last year. I would tell you I need a nap. I actually put out a video where I was like, listen, I'll be woke in 2020. Just let me sleep. I'm tired of being woke. It's a lot of energy. But there's just so many blatant situations where it is manipulated. And even this, the counter argument, a lot of people, their guy won, I get it. A lot of people are like, oh, you really thought that it wasn't this? Well, I'm sure there was a lot of manipulation for Trump too. Listen, here's the argument though. Why are we even having a discussion that there was probably some cheating on the other side too? We need to eliminate completely the chance of this happening. I'm all for democracy. I'm all for it. If people want a certain person elected, cool. That's the right. That's our country, our social experiment. We're the best one there is. Listen, whichever way it goes, I just want a fair election. Just want it to be fair. I want to be able to think at night that we're not being manipulated completely. You can't even look at the news. It's completely biased. You can't even go on social media because it's creating an echo chamber of your own belief systems and thoughts, and everybody, comments and likes it and blah, 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 and all the virtue signaling is rewarded on social media. I think it is so important to realize that something needs to change and something needs to happen. And I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what the right step is, I just know, I know what the right step is. It's getting in a direction of cutting out human bias, getting rid of corruption, getting rid of so many blockades that stop people from being responsible in government. And keep in mind that I'm an idiot when it comes to this stuff. Okay, I'm just trying to think logically of ways to remove bias and manipulation out of things. And I think we need technology to vote. I think we have to have, you can go to a place to vote. You can walk in there and you can have your ID. You got to get fingerprinted. And I get that some people wouldn't want to be fingerprinted, but it's like most people have to get fingerprinted for jobs. We should have fingerprints for elections. Eliminate dead people. You have to show up there. They take a picture of you there. You have to enter your social. You have to have your license or identification. Got to put in your thumbprint. I'm sorry, but we need to know. You got to be able to vote from, and if you don't want to do that, we need to have like 2 to 3 other measures to be able to identify you. Not some bullshit mail-in ballot. How crazy is that? We voted by the mail. Listen, I have an Amazon package that was supposed to get here last week. Still not here. And we're going to count on the reliability of mail-in ballots. There's been so many articles and things going on where they found ballots in freaking Canada and all this stuff on the border. There's so much manipulation, and why not? Why wouldn't people try to manipulate it? It's in our nature to try to win and to deceive in those situations. And we're going to pretend like politics aren't corrupt. Anyway, this isn't some weird political Monday morning talk political host where you call in while you're on your drive and they're like, yeah, really giving it to them. I just think it's all bullshit. They're not trying to help the everyday man, you know? I got Uncle Sam bringing down my back with these taxes. I want someone in government in office that's going to bring my taxes down. I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. But it's just interesting. So I think that needs to be fixed. And I'm announcing my my run with Kanye West 2024. Be his VP. Dude, there's something wrong. Obviously, I've talked about this before with Kanye West, but like, if you guys heard that Joe Rogan episode of Kanye talking to Joe Rogan did a very nice thing in which he was trying to clarify a lot of Kanye West's points for him. But like a lot of things, they were all rooted in ideology. And this is something I try to be aware about, is when I don't know a lot about a situation, the ins and out, take a beat, take a second, and try to figure out if I even know the landscape of reality for that situation. And you can tell by the way Kanye West starts talking about certain things. I'm like, oh, you don't know how police work. You don't know how, government works. How human nature works. Anyway, we had dude, this past week, though, we had, what's his name? Alex Trebek. We had Sean Connery. How weird is that? I think they were within a week of each other. That Sean Connery and Alex Trebek both passed away. Legends. I literally know him, Sean Connery. My favorite thing of him being Alex Trebek. Or was he imitating Alex Trebek? No. But he was on there. He was. I'm getting this so fucked up. It was an actor playing Sean Connery talking to Alex Trebek. That's the connection. And if you haven't seen it, it's hilarious. Go to SNL and look up Sean Connery, Alex Trebek. It's amazing. Where there's like, I'll take the rapist for $300. And it's like, the therapist for $300. And everything is about Alex Trebek's mother. Hilarious. I saw also, speaking of SNL, segue, Dave Chappelle was on SNL. Hilarious monologue. Hilarious. One thing I love about Dave Chappelle, the comfortability that he at least eludes while he's on stage is amazing. To see someone so brilliant and just relaxed and just being able to say normal sentences that come off just genius, just the timing of little jokes that he stuffs in there, the throwaway lines, amazing. He's been at the Comedy Store. Whenever I'd be at the Comedy Store doing sets or trying to do sets there and like in LA, hitting spots, I always missed when he would just drop into the Comedy Store because there was like legendary nights and I'd have friends posting pictures on Instagram watching him and I'm like, fuck, But he would just drop into the Comedy Store unannounced. And they would do a lot of times like special guests, pay for, these tickets, and they would do it. And the comedians can watch for free if you're in the back. And it would just be a surprise secret guest. And a lot of times it was Dave Chappelle. And he would do like 4 or 5 hour sets, maybe like 3 or 4 actually. But he would just sit on stage and like just smoke cigarettes. And he would like take you on a roller coaster. This is how it's been described from fellow comedians who were watching it. It wouldn't be this constant bah, 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 hitting you with jokes. That it would be like a roller coaster, like a movie of starting off low. We're setting kind of a base. We're thinking of ideas. We had a slow spot, then bam, punchlines. And then it'll just settle you back down, and we have a new premise. And that's how he works out material. Just talking to the crowd, coming up with ideas, and just giving his thoughts. And it's so dope to see that, because you see that in his recent specials. The one where he's actually in the Comedy Store, in the belly room. And he's sitting there, and he's just kind of talking to the crowd, but with great jokes. And it's so dope to me in the sense of developing your muscle for being able to come up with profound ideas so fluidly that you are like, the machine is so well oiled that you can just put an idea in it and it just flows out perfectly. I don't know if I described that right, but it's amazing to see that with Dave Chappelle. And it's like the profoundness. It's like there's not that much fat on what he says. Like sometimes you can get way too wordy. Like even like a Seinfeld. Even like a Seinfeld or a Jay Leno. They're not wordy at all. Every word makes sense. Everything is cut down to just like the impact of every word is in there, needed to be in there. And I see that a lot with Dave Chappelle. And a lot of the times it seems like he just came up with that on the spot. And that's like the genius of it, is making it seem like he just had that idea. It's beautiful. He talked about in one of his sets about how he has ideas and he puts it in a big fishbowl, topics, and he'll just write them down and then he'll put them in there for later. And then whenever he wants to start writing and coming up with ideas and premises, he'll just pick one of those thoughts out of the fishbowl and start working on it. I love hearing shit like that. It makes my willy tingle when you start hearing about other people's their process for coming up with stuff. I need a good book like that. There is a book like that where they start, it's either a book or a documentary where they start breaking down people's creative process. I love that shit. It makes my willy tingle. I'm reading a good book right now, not to get off topic of Dave Chappelle, but Atomic Habits. It's a pretty dope book. It's one of the best books I've read about like processes and like optimizing your time and scheduling and everything like that. It's like one of the best books of actually having a foundation to do it. I can't stand self-help books. I can't. Even though I read a lot of like productivity and like bettering yourself, I can't stand the self-help books that are all fluff, that are just like, when you will believe, you can achieve. You need to look yourself in the mirror and say, I love you. And here's what you do. You just wake up and you just do it. And it's like, okay, well, you haven't given anything real in this. You're just a fucking fortune cookie. But this book is actually amazing and breaks down our habits and like what our nature versus nurture is, and stuff you can actually put into play that makes us better, and why we do a lot of the stuff we do. And there was actually a fascinating point about it that I kind of like, I see a lot of stuff reflected in society. Not to make this a philosophizer's podcast, but with the way people vote. And it was one of the studies that they did in this book to show how important it is, your surroundings and who you're around. Because it was talking about this clinical trial that they did where They had a group of people that were all actors. They had like 40 people in this study. 39 of them were actors. And what they did is they went around the room showing on the like, we'll just say the whiteboard, two lines. There was one line that was in between other lines and another line that was like by itself. And one of them was clearly longer than the other line. And they went around the room asking each person which line was longer. And when they got to the person that wasn't the actor, the one that they were actually doing the study on, he would go against what he thought was real and say the other line was longer. And it was like the study that they kept repeating, and in every single study, the person always sided with the herd. And it's because of something that's built into us to not want to stand out and to not want to go against the crowd. And it's like, I feel like that's been manipulated so much with voting and media and everything like that. And just the importance of like who you surround yourself with. It's like, I don't want to start talking about it again, but like, I think it's just fascinating. You know, that study in particular with who you're around. And if you have a bunch of people, there's like that great Jay-Z quote that if everyone's crazy, you're the one that's insane. Bars. J bars. Yeah, that line always stuck with me. And it made me always in situations where I'd start feeling like something was wrong, but I was the only one who saw it wrong. I was like, well, time to get out of here. Time to hit some greener pastures. But yeah, this book is great. And you know what else is great? If you haven't seen it, if you're a comedy enthusiast or if you're a comic, I know I have some comics listening, shout out. It was really funny, actually. I've never actually looked at the reviews of this podcast. I didn't even know I had reviews. And it was awesome to see that I had reviews. And shout out to Aaron Anderson. He said something. He's a hilarious comedian. And he said for a Peruvian guy. No, a Cuban guy. He's not that bad. Which is hilarious because he knows I'm Puerto Rican. And it made me laugh. But I forgot even the point I was making. Oh, if you're a comedian, if you're a comedy enthusiast, go watch the Comedy Store Showtime documentary. It's a 5-part series breaking down the Comedy Store. It's amazing. It's really well done. And it goes to show you, if you never saw the show I'm Dying Up Here, how accurate that show really was on eluding the Comedy Store's history. From the strike, the way everything went. It was Jim Carrey who produced that show, I'm Dying Up Here, on Showtime. Amazing show. But this documentary, a 5-part series, really shows you the history of the Comedy Store. And even if you're not a comedian, you're like, that place was magic. It is magic. But it was magic during those times. It was always dope being in the Comedy Store. I always felt like an imposter, and rightfully so, because I'm not at anybody's level in there where, you know, the comedians that are on the wall and just the comedians going on stage. Like when I would go there, it was amazing to watch, you know, Joey Diaz, Joe Rogan, Chris D'Elia, rest in peace. All these great comedians, and to see who came up there, you're like, there's so many legends. And it all, not to spoil it, it's all because of Mitzi Shore. Her building that place like a college, and just the way she did that. There would never be a place like that now. Like there can never be something like that now. In this culture, nah. That's another weird thing about like conformity, is you don't get those wild places like that. With everything now, it almost feels like the map is getting smaller. And that's like a Pirates of the Caribbean quote. It's like the world's getting smaller. But it's like there's less, I think that's important. That's why I think this whole like herd mentality and people just wanting to go along with everything, it gets so dangerous for like, I don't want to say creativity in general, but like new ideas and coming up with unique things. Because I think that's what's made America great, is not to trigger anybody who thinks I'm saying make America great again. There's a great quote it wasn't a quote, I heard it. Someone talking about China and America, and that China will always try to replicate America with their products, with their innovation, technology. And it's because we have such freedom and liberty. And it's like you can force someone to carry rocks for you, but you can't force them to come up with an idea. And the meaning behind that, and I didn't say that anywhere as eloquently, is like you can't force people to get into that flow state and to come up with something amazing when you're forcing them to do it and when they have these strict guidelines. Like, you got to let them fly. Just like me, baby. I'm a peacock. You got to let me fly. But it's just interesting. Like, the more we get, that's why I've always been so against cancel culture and like just canceling people over interpretations of what they're saying when it's not even like we've gone so far from like a center of being rationale is we're canceling the most ridiculous shit. And I think like the more we do that and the more we put people in these small areas for them to be able to work and create, we're going to lose a lot of great stuff. Dude, Quentin Tarantino is one of the greatest filmmakers. And it's because he doesn't like conform to that style of just everything has to fit inside of a cookie cutter. But it's like those people are going away. The Tarantinos, you can't really come up as a Tarantino now. All the shit he's done, he can only do that now because he's fucking Tarantino. But I also am optimistic. I know it seems like a lot is doom and gloom. If you're looking at things objectively. If you're looking at things only one perspective, you're very happy right now. There's a lot of people very happy on social media, and I'm happy for them. I hope they're right. I hope that things are good. But it's just a weird time. But I'm also optimistic that like people kind of wake up. They kind of, after a certain point, like things kind of swing back in a certain direction. And I think it will. You know, I'm pretty optimistic. But all right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to end on that note. Nice and calm and cool. It's cold as shit here in California right now. Cold as shit here. But I hope you have a good Monday. I hope you have a good Tuesday. And I'll see you on Wednesday. And remember, no matter what. Oh yeah, if you haven't, like, comment, subscribe. It helps me. If you haven't left a review on iTunes, I didn't even know people were doing that. Went and checked. It's happening. And I appreciate everybody who's liked, comment, subscribe. If you have ideas for the show, I've gotten some people unprovoked send me stuff, and I'm like, this is terrible. But if you have ideas, things you want to see, things you want to hear, different events, different segments that we could come up with, I'm open, baby. I'm all open. Not in that way. But hit me up on Instagram. IamEvanLopez.com. Pause. It's just I am Evan Lopez. You can go to evanlopez.com. Leave me an email. Get back to you. If you want to be on the show, hit me up at evanlopez.com. If I don't reply, didn't want you. But remember, no matter what, I still love you.